surprise. I'll be with you, darling, soon. Be with you when the stars start falling. I've been waiting so long to be. Hey everybody, welcome to MT Guitar. Today we're doing an acoustic version of Sunshine of Your Love, one of the first songs I actually learned on guitar, and I think that's a common tale. A lot of people start with riffs from the sort of the classic rock or the psychedelic rock era, if you will. This is from Cream's best-selling album Disraeli Gears from 1967, and the Summer of Love, Sgt. Pepper, all those albums coming out, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And this was kind of a response to the psychedelia by going deep into blues rock while being a part of psychedelia. And so you had this power trio, of course, Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, and Jack Bruce. Just, a bunch of raw sound, a bunch of electric guitar blues kind of music without too much else going on, and sort of that was the appeal of it. And so this also, you can compare it to the Jimi Hendrix Experience. In fact, there was a rivalry going on between these power trios, right? You had the Jimi Hendrix Experience and you had Cream, and that was a power trio as well. So you had these guitar trios with bass and drums, really pure sort of sound. And this actually apparently was inspired by Jimi Hendrix. Jack Bruce said that this riff was sort of just came up with it after seeing Jimi Hendrix live and whatnot. So interesting rivalry there, and also back and forth going on. So anyway, back to this massively important riff. I think everyone should know these kinds of riffs. I just did another acoustic lesson on Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze, and you can play these on acoustic. There's no need to have the pedals and the amps and everything to do these kinds of things. And I definitely learned a lot from this riff. This is where, say, a beginner would start just with the single notes. It happens to be the intro of the song anyway. For acoustic, I recommend doing what he would often do live. He meaning Clapton. He would often play just the full chord live. Whereas in the studio, they wanted to be really precise and kind of do a more, appropriate voicing to complement the bass. But in a live setting, you want to maybe reinforce the bass and not be playing sort of these, non-typical fingerings. So Clapton would often just do these what look like it's going to be a bar chord, but it ends up just being no bar, just 4 fingers on the fretboard. You can do the same thing for the G. And you get a really full sound. That sounds great on acoustic, and you don't miss any bass. So I'll teach you the exact pure part that's on the studio. But really, to be honest, in my acoustic arrangement, I would recommend a full-fingered approach here. So this song does go over the 12-bar blues, but it's halftime, so it's actually 24 bars. But it's the same sort of structure. You've got the one chord, which is D. And if you followed my channel or my blues lessons, you'll know that I've just covered a lesson on the blues. Every guitarist needs the blues, right? And I mentioned the first position pentatonic and blues scale as sort of essential, just must know. So he's going to play this riff from there until the very end. And even the end of that riff, when he goes, that's all blues scale and position 1, we would call it. But also that you need to memorize the 12-bar blues. It's just a must for your ear, for your knowledge. And so we need to know, where's the 4 chord, where's the 5 chord, when is it happening in a 12-bar blues. So we have one chord, right? And then it goes to the 4 chord. There's the 4, that's G7. All the way back to the 1 chord, just like normal. fast forward to the turnaround. This time they're just going to mess around on that A for a while. But this would be taking over for what would be the A7 to G7. And then we're back at the top. You can actually do it here as well. It's kind of nice as well. So we're going to break this down note for note, of course, and just wanted to make a point about, well, the history of the psychedelic movement and the response with the blues rock being at the center of that as well, the electric blues. And we're going to see that with Led Zeppelin in the 70s and the Rolling Stones sort of take off in flight and not look back. So kind of fun to understand what's going on. Obviously, Clapton never looked back as well, with all his wonderful solo hits and groups and whatnot. So I'll be posting this on the Patreon. Thank you to all the patrons there. Really appreciate it. All right, so let's start right where the intro starts with this famous riff. Okay. That's going to be, here we are in the key of D, right? D blues kind of thing. And we know that this is a D note, by the way, little fretboard tip, because it's the 12th fret, so that's the D string. Here's D. Okay, we know that this is D because 2 strings and 2 octaves. Oh, sorry, 2 strings and 2 frets apart are an octave. So here we are at position 1 of D minor. If that helps to know that that's a D note, there you go. Now you know where D blues can be. Okay, so 12, 12, 10, 12. It's a slight swing, so it's like. Okay. Then 12, 11, 10, and it's syncopated, so it's on the upbeat, so it's like 3, 4, bop, 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 12, 11, 10. Okay, then we go to 10th fret with the ring finger to do this 10, 8th fret, 5th string, back to 10. So that's a D bass right there as well. And I'm going to do a slight vibrato, or even more than slight, really. Like this. Again. Okay, so twice on the single note. Now he starts playing chords. I told you I'd teach you the studio part, but it sounds a bit odd by itself without, you know, bass and drums, for instance, like Clapton was playing. And even as I mentioned live, Clapton would often go just a full chord. So I'll show you this just for fun, but I'm going to recommend my arrangement in a sec. So here we go, 12, 10, 11. It is cool. It creates a D7. And we go down twice on that, then down a whole step, 2 frets down, right? And then go back up. So it's like up, 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 up. And then everything else continues with the riff, 12, 11, 10, except this time we're going to go 12, 4th string, 10th fret, 2nd and 3rd string, back to 12th fret, 4th string. So that would be. Now I'm going to recommend just a regular D chord instead. Without the bar, you can bar it, but it's a little bit annoying to bar it on acoustic way up high like that. So I'm just going to recommend 10, 12, 12, 11. The last 2 strings are basically just muted by the not barring of the index. So you can just, right, get this cool D sound. We're going to go down, down, down a whole step to C, and then back up to D. So it's like, then the riff continues. Now, you'll notice I'm not going as much because I want the mute to create some rhythm here. So I'm going, and then I'm lifting. See? Strum, lift. It's like ba 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 ba. It's not ba da da da, if that makes sense. So it's more staccato, or at least more rhythmically punchy with some mute. So I'm going to basically lift the fingers. Now on every other one or so, he goes 12, 12, 12, 12, third and second string to 10th fret, second and third string to 12th fret, fourth string. And you can always slightly bend that 10th fret. Okay, so it's sometimes or like that. So we do that. Let's sort of hum along, and then we'll go to the G, and we'll notice that the same pattern exists over the G chord. All right, so 3, 4. It's getting near dawn. Lights coming to my eye. That's twice. Third time. Here's the fourth time. In my dawn surprise. Now, after 4 times, we're going to go down to the G. And yes, in the studio he did this. You're welcome to do that. That would be G chord twice to F to G. And then 4th string, 12th, 11, 10, 10, 8, 10. See? But, as I mentioned, I'm taking from what he did live, which would he'd go all the way down here to a G chord, just like how this is a D chord. Here's a G chord. And we're going to repeat exactly what we did, but simply down, what is that, 7 frets? 5, 4, 3, and then 5th fret, 3rd string, 3rd fret, 2nd and 3rd string. So it's like... Again. Back to the D. Sometimes you can do the bass as well. Sorry. Now on the turnaround. So turnaround, I like A like this, because you make sure that it sounds rock and roll without, you don't really need the open A string. But since we're on acoustic, both are good. In fact, kind of nice to have this more traditional cowboy chord, but generally on electric you'd probably want this. So either way, this will just be barring the 2nd fret. So it's like an A chord, down, up, down. And then again, I'm muting the sound. Now C. Let's start with the bar chords, because that's what Clapton would do. And then C, G, just 1 strum on each. And that's a loop, so 3, 4. I've been waiting so long. Again, beware I'm going. 3rd time. Oh, the sunshine of your... Now A, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So that's a... Back to that. So you could also do open C and G. So that would be I've been waiting so... Sounds really nice on acoustic. To be where I belong, in the sunshine of your love. So good. Then we are done. Just like a good blues song should be, there is no bridge. This is sort of a folk form, meaning that the blues, often just is repeating, similar to how a folk song would be. We don't need to have a complicated song form. There is a solo. Now he would be doing that in in first position, but I can't bend the wound G. So if I was playing this just sort of at a restaurant or something solo, I would probably just bend it here in 3rd position, minor pentatonic, or what is this? No, 4th position. 1, 2. Yeah, 4th position. And I'm not going to teach that because it's a little bit silly right now in acoustic, but you could recreate that like that. And then Clapton's very instructive. He goes to major. It's a major pentatonic, which is something I teach my students all the time, is to go from minor blues to major blues, and you end up doubling, if at least doubling your melodic options, because it's sort of like that. You know, by adding, you get more and more. It's more than the sum of its parts. So you can try soloing over the song with minor blues in all positions and major blues, which is beyond the scope of this lesson, but I always recommend playing along with songs and soloing along with songs and just sort of figuring out your scales that way. It's a great thing to do. That's it. I think we've covered it. Please enjoy. That's so important with blues songs. Make sure you're feeling good and the groove is good, because that's a huge part of it. And we'll see you next time, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye.